All right, what is up, Utah fans? This is Joseph back with the Utah Utes Football Digest. And wild news has come out today for Utah. Pretty sad news. Wide receiver Mikey Matthews is entering the transfer portal. Mikey Matthews was a breakout player his freshman year, and even leading up to his freshman year, had a ton of hype. Really built himself as one of the big, rising star prospect sort of deals in the country. So a tough loss, guys. What we're going to do today, we're going to talk about what Mikey Matthews meant. We'll also talk about, are people overreacting, underreacting? Like, where is the right mindset, at least in my opinion, of how to look at Mikey Matthews leaving? I'm also going to dive into some portal stuff, who we're looking at to possibly replace Mikey Matthews, and other portal updates. This video is going to be not just about Mikey Matthews. We're going to talk about a few different topics. So we'll dive in. We'll have some fun today, guys. Before we do, though, please make sure you guys smash that like button. That'll help get this video out to more Utah fans. And please comment down below any of the prospects we're talking about potentially bringing in. What do you think of them? What are your opinions? Also, I'd like to know what you guys think of Mikey Matthews. How big of a deal is it that he's leaving? Um, I, I just love your opinion. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Share the video with a friend, and let's go ahead and dive in. Let's talk Mikey Matthews and the Utah Utes transfer portal updates. All right. So the first thing I want to discuss is going to be what how big of a deal is Mikey Matthews leaving to this Utah program? Now, we talked about it the other night on the live stream with the guys. If you don't tune into those, make sure you guys do. They're a ton of fun. We usually do them every Tuesday at 7:30. So if you guys are into, and jump on a live stream, make sure you guys join that. But Mikey Matthews was a guy that I talked about the other day. I think what I said about Mikey Matthews, I don't remember quote unquote, but I expect him to possibly be a solid number 2 wide receiver this year. That's what I was talking about with Mikey Matthews. Just to give you guys an idea, last year he graded out pretty well, 67.4. That's an above average grade, 68.1 receiving grade, and a 58.2 run blocking grade. A guy that I did have high hopes for. I'm not going to act like I didn't think Mikey Matthews is going to be great. And there's still a chance Mikey Matthews takes his name out of the transfer portal and stays at Utah. I don't think that's going to happen. I do think we're going to lose Mikey Matthews. So he had solid PFF grades, and everyone that knows this channel and knows me, I would like to have Mikey Matthews. But I would say on the other end, I do think some people are freaking out a little prematurely about Mikey Matthews. Sorry, I just had sloppy joes stuck in my teeth. Anyways, though, I do think some people are freaking out a little prematurely about Mikey Matthews. He had 29 catches last year for 261 yards and 0 touchdowns. He did an okay-ish job as a returner. Nothing spectacular from him as a returner. I'd say even a little underwhelming as a returner. So I would just say this, guys. He contributed 261 yards as a freshman. The signs were positive that he'd take another step, probably a slightly higher PFF grade, more yards, connecting with a guy like Cam Rising. But I do just want to make it clear, anyone that's acting like we just lost our key piece to this offense next year is probably being a little over the top. I I think Mikey Matthews long term had a lot of potential, but I think even next year you weren't expecting Mikey Matthews to be just wildly good. You were expecting like a solid to good player. But I would just say that Mikey Matthews is a guy that I am not excited is in the transfer portal. I did want to keep him. He was a part of the plans for next year and a guy I had very high hopes for moving forward. Let's be real, though. It's not like we lost some sort of superstar impact player. That's what I'm saying. It's not like replacing him, especially in the sense of next year, like for this 2024 season. Replacing him for 2024 is not going to be some giant burden we have to overcome. That's how I'm looking at it. Long term, this sucks because Mikey Matthews had a ton of potential and has a very good ceiling and could be a great college wide receiver. Last year, that's not what he was. He was slightly above average in grading and didn't rack up a ton of yards. There was sloppy quarterback play last year, a lot going on that contributes to that. But is what it is. I would just say when it comes to this very next year, we should be able to go to the portal and get a guy that can at least replace or get very close to what we were expecting from Mikey Matthews next year. The next thing I want to touch on is going to be who we are targeting right now, kind of a transfer portal update, what I'm hearing in the rumor mill. Let's dive in. Let's talk about it. All right, the first guy I want to point out is going to be a wide receiver named Xavier Jordan. Now, I'm sure you guys have heard a lot of hype about this kid. Xavier Jordan, he's committed to USC right now for the class of 2024, which means he can come in this next year, fight for a starting spot. He's a very talented, big time playmaking receiver. So he can come in right away and be on this Utah team, which would be awesome and a potential guy that could take some of that volume. You never want to rely on a freshman, but this guy's a heck of a freshman. Just to give you guys an idea, Xavier Jordan, according to 24/7 Sports, is the 16th wide receiver in the 2024 class. And according to the composite rating, he's the 14th wide receiver in the class. 24/7 has him 86 nationally, and composite, he's 65 nationally. So he is a guy that is super talented. When we got the commitment the other day from Kwamari, his name's slipping my mind, Kwamari Shemwell. When he committed the other day, Xavier Jordan was actually commenting under his post, hinting at the idea of coming to Utah. And that's not the first sign that he's shown that he wants to come to Utah. I'd say Xavier Jordan feels like a guy that will be coming to Utah. I'd be more surprised if he doesn't come than if he does. And him being a guy that's going to classify for the 2024 class and come in right away to be a guy that can at least fight for reps and help make this receiver room better, if not earn a top 3 receiver spot. That would be awesome. That's a guy I would keep an eye on, people. Xavier Jordan, 6'1", 165 pounds. He's out of Sierra Canyon. His quarterback was the guy that actually committed to us the other day. His name's escaping me off the top of my head. I'm gonna try to grab it. I won't now, but you guys can comment down below. You know the quarterback I'm talking about. He was the guy that committed the other day. I did a recruiting video on him. He had a heck of an arm. So Xavier Jordan, he would be coming with his quarterback. His quarterback's for the 2025 class, but still, we get him 2024, get his quarterback in 2025. That'd be awesome. Xavier Jordan's a guy that could help fill the spot for a guy like Mikey Matthews. All right, guys. And the next guy we're going to discuss is going to be a guy named Dion Burks. Dion Burks is out of Purdue. He's a guy that last year graded at a 64.7 overall offensive grade. In 2022, he had a 51.4 offensive grade. And in 2021, he had a 70.2 offensive grade. So 64.7, he looks like a guy that can come in and be an immediate contributor for this offense. And don't forget, he's going against Big Ten talent. Big Ten's not deep all the way through, but he's going up against some good players in some of those higher end Big Ten schools. Last year's stats, he had 47 catches for 629 yards and 7 touchdowns. He's definitely a guy that can go off and has the potential to be a big time playmaker if given the opportunity. Quite a season last year, not a ton of down games. Had 43 yards against Michigan. Against Ohio State, only 22, but Illinois, 83 yards, Wisconsin, 73 yards. So a guy that is pretty proven, a guy that I would not be upset to see on this team. I don't think alone I think he would kind of cancel out the Mikey Matthews move, where I don't think we get this wide receiver room where it needs to be with Dion Burks. I would really like him, don't get me wrong, but I think he would kind of cancel out that Mikey Matthews move, at least for 2024. If not, give us a slight adjustment, right? I think he'd be a good move. He's a playmaker kid. He's 5'11", 195 pounds, real shifty guy, a guy that can definitely make plays. I would love to see Deion Burks in here. So that's Deion Burks out of Purdue, 47 catches last year, 629 yards, and 7 touchdowns. So I'd love to see him come on over to Utah as well. And there are active conversations being had about him coming to Utah. Okay, the final guy I want to talk about here tonight, guys, when it comes to wide receiver, is going to be Jaden Richardson. Now, Jaden Richardson is a guy that is not coming from some huge program. He is coming from Tufts University. Um, I'm not that familiar with it. I'm going to be honest with you guys. It's a JUCO. Um, it looks like. I mean, don't quote me on that, but it's definitely not D1 football. It looks like a JUCO. Uh, but anyways, don't let that fool you with this guy. In this past season, he had 830 receiving yards and he had 13 touchdowns. So the guy is a big time playmaker at receiver. Just to give you guys an idea, he's already posted that he has offers. One of them's Utah, obviously. He has offers from Iowa State, Cal, UCF, UMass, UConn, Eastern Washington, James Madison, Nevada, Old Dominion, Wisconsin, Liberty, Washington football, Washington Huskies. So just to let you got USF as well. There's a bunch of offers here, guys. He's not just some random guy. He seems to be a pretty highly sought after JUCO prospect. So I would say that this would be a guy pretty exciting if Utah could get him. Like I said, 830 yards and 13 touchdowns. That's a guy that's a playmaker at wide receiver, guys. He's listed on the Tufts website at 6'2", 210 pounds. He's listed on Twitter at 6'3", but about that, but a big presence at wide receiver and a guy that has the potential to be a number one type of receiver. He's a senior, but a guy that I would love to get in here. I think he posted that he has 2 years of eligibility remaining. I actually really like the idea of bringing this kid in, especially when you see all the offers this guy's pulling in. I would not be upset to see Utah pull this guy in. One thing I do want to look at, I'm not sure if PFF tracks guys that are coming from JUCOs. Let's see. Let's check him out, guys. Let's see if we can find some numbers on the guy. Jaden Richardson. No, I don't think we're going to find any numbers on him, guys. Or for PFF at least. But I like his stats. I like the stats he's putting up. You know, we just went over a bunch of different receivers, guys. There's a lot of different talented guys. You know, Jaden Richardson, Deion Burks, Xavier Jordan. Who was the last guy? Who am I skipping on? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. It's Jaden Richardson, Deion Burks. Oh, dude, my memory's so damn bad. Jaden Richardson, Deion Burks, Xavier Jordan. There's also Ashton Kozart, the guy that's transferring from Oregon. He was a 4-star wide receiver coming out of high school. So any of those guys, like there's a lot of guys here that could potentially be guys to come in and be playmakers for Utah. There's also Winston Wright Jr. Had a down year at Florida State last year in a really crowded wide receiver room. A lot of NFL talent in that room. But he had 2 back-to-back 500-plus yard seasons at West Virginia as a receiver, and almost 700 yards this very last season at West Virginia. So Winston Wright Jr. would be another one. I also, since we're doing it, I'm going to go ahead and dive into a couple tight ends as well, if you guys don't mind. We kind of talked about some of these guys last night, but I do want to talk about where we are in the process, who's heating up, who we haven't heard much on. So let's go ahead and talk about some tight ends. All right, guys. And before we dive into the tight ends and talk about who the tight end targets are, a new one has officially come onto the radar today. Before we do that, though, please, if you haven't already, if you've gotten this far in the video, smash that like button. It means a lot. It helps get the video out to more Utah fans. Also, comment down below whether it's about the receivers. Tell me who you guys think you'd want to get on this team, how you're feeling right now about some of the options we have. Um, but let's talk tight ends. So tight end wise, there's obviously the names we talked about the other day, Carson Ryan, and then we also have it's the guy I like. What? Why am I slipping on this guy? Sorry guys, a lot of info, a lot of info. Jalen Conyers from Arizona State. Jalen Conyers from Arizona State seems to be heating up. There was a post from Fan Nation for Utah 2 hours ago that said he's set to visit Utah, and 5 hours or 6 hours ago, Jalen Conyers made a post that it was down to three. So I think that's a good sign. It seems like we're in the top three for Jalen Conyers. I'm telling you guys, the PFF grades for Jalen Conyers, really good. The stats, he puts up numbers. He is a guy that I would really like to get in here. Okay, run blocker, especially for a tight end. I could pull up Jalen Conyers real quick. Let's get you guys those numbers since we're talking about him. Wrong guy. All right, Jalen Conyers, Arizona State. His offensive grades, the total for the season was a 70.3. Run blocking wise, it was a 60 or a 52.4. But don't forget, guys, with tight ends, it's not, they usually don't have crazy high run blocking grades. And then his receiving grade on the season was a 71.6. So a guy that looks very good. Stat wise, let me see if I can get you guys his stats. We talked about him the other night, but since we're doing this video, we might as well talk about it here too. Okay. Receiving stats. This past year, he had 362 yards with, quarterback play that it would be anyone would have had a struggle with. And then in 2022, he had 411 yards, 5 touchdowns, 0 touchdowns this past year, but an 80.8 grade in 2022 and a 70.3 overall grade in 2023. So a guy that I would love to bring in. Obviously, we got Carson Ryan too. You guys should know about him. Not a ton of stats with that guy, but a decent year last year, about 200 receiving yards. Grades out very well, really similar overall grade to Jalen Conyers. I haven't heard a lot of hype since the initial hype came in. So I would I don't know where that's going right now. I don't know what's going on there. Hopefully we can get Carson Ryan. That would be a big get for us as well. Then there's one more tight end that came onto the scene today. Let me find his name. I'm trying to remember. We're just going on the fly here, guys. I just want to make sure I get you guys. I know not all of you guys. A lot of you guys watch a lot of different podcasts, but I do know that there are a chunk of you guys that use this as your main source of Utah Utes football content. And I appreciate that a ton. I love being able to get you guys the content you need. Damn it, I cannot find this guy. What? Oh, here he is. Jack Velling out of Oregon State. Jack Velling. It does seem like Utah is quite in the running for this guy. The reason I couldn't find him earlier, I was typing in Jake Velling. So that's why I couldn't find him. But Jack Velling, number 88 from Oregon State. He is a guy, had 438 receiving yards last year and 8 receiving touchdowns with an offensive grade of a 70.2. For him, the run block grade wasn't very good. It was in the 40s for PFF, but his receiving grade was a 78.4. That is really good, guys. If we could get any combo of these three guys, seriously, if we could land one would be awesome. But if we could land two of these three guys, that would be so awesome. And I think we can do it. We have proven time and time again that we can develop tight ends really well. Imagine some sort of mix of Keithy at receiver / tight end hybrid, Landon King, Jalen Conyers, Carson Ryan, or potentially Jack Velling. That would be pretty damn awesome, guys. I really hope we pull in some of these tight ends. I'm probably more excited right now about the tight ends than I am about the receivers. I think Keithy will be a big part of this discussion. Is Keithy coming back? I mean, So many rumors swirling around. Hopefully he comes back and he's kind of that wide receiver tight end hybrid. And if we can get one or two of these transfer portal guys, potentially Xavier Jordan commits as a true freshman, can provide a little bit of a spark there, and we get some of this tight end play out of these three targets we're looking at. I would love to see some of these guys come in. But outside of that, guys, I'm going to get out of here. Make sure you smash that like button, comment down below. A ton of content we just went over. So rewatch the video if you want to, and comment as you go back through it. Subscribe to the channel as well. We put out a ton of Utah Utes football content. So if you're into that sort of thing, make sure you guys stick around and share the video with a friend, guys. If you have a friend that's a Utah football nerd like all of us, get them to be a part of the channel with you. Let's make this community as awesome as we can. All right, I'm out of here, guys, and go Utes.